It's just gone 23 minutes past 7. If you've tuned into Morning Live, you're in time for sports news. Well, it is the business end of the French Open, and there's some mouth-watering clashes for tennis lovers, with the blockbuster men's semi-final being between world number one Jannik Sinner taking on three-time French Open champion Novak Djokovic, while the other semi-final is between Carlos Alcaraz and Lorenzo Musseti, the Italian there. Then the women's final will see Aryna Sabalenka taking on Coco Gauff, and that's tomorrow. So to talk to us about this and just to give us some highlights from what's been happening at Roland Garros, we do have tennis analyst Bruce Davidson joining us. Bruce, it's so good to have you with us. I mean, if we look at what's happening tonight, Carlos Alcaraz up against Musseti, it's a repetition rather of their Monte Carlo final and then their Rome final as well. But Carlos is in just such superb form.
I agree with you, Stacey. Carlos is in a real good space at the moment, especially on the clay. And he's like Jannik Sinner. We never knew that Jannik Sinner would come back so strong, but both of them are on another level. It's going to be a very interesting match against the Italian for Carlos Alcaraz. He's always had a bit of trouble beating the Italian, and we must just say that they've played each other 6 times. Carlos Alcaraz has won 5 out of the 6 matches, but this Lorenzo Musseti is really a tough customer on the clay. He's been brought up on the clay, so I think Alcaraz is going to be going into the match really having prepared well, because at this stage of the tournament, for an Italian like Musseti to get to the semi-finals, he can do any damage at any time. But I do believe Carlos Alcaraz will prevail. He's just playing such brilliant tennis.
I mean, he is the defending champion. I was looking at some of the comments from his coach, Juan Carlos Ferrero, saying that he obviously, when he plays positively, when he plays bravely, and he plays without fear, then obviously he is a player with unrealized potential. However, he did say that we have to see the other side of it. There's pressure, there's tension, there's fear, there's difficulties, were his exact words.
Absolutely, yeah. But he's won 20 wins on clay. He's reached at least 2 finals of the last 3 that he's played in. So he's in fine form, and I think you've got to understand Carlos Ferreira has been very cautious going into this. Alcaraz is the defending champion. He's favoured to win, but he knows that this weekend is going to be a very difficult weekend for Carlos, because if he does win against the Italian, he's got possibly another Italian in the final.
True.
And I know that they're going to have to pull out all the stops to defend title.
If we look at that, Sinner is number 1, and as you said, no one expected him to really come back from that doping ban, with such fire. But I believe that's actually why he's come out. He has something to prove, and though he's number 1, he is up against a 24-time Grand Slam winner. Djokovic himself having something to prove, because his record against Sinner isn't where he wants it to be.
Well, yeah, this is going to be a very interesting matchup, because first of all, you rightly introduced Sinner as coming back and making a surprise, splendid return to the game. So obviously in his 3 months that he was off, he was really working hard with junior players or whatever he was allowed to. But, we never really thought that Novak would do so well. He did win the gold on this court last year in Paris. And he hasn't done anything since. But when he won Geneva just before coming into Paris, it was a sign that he might have found the groove. So Sinner's going to have to really pull out all the stops. They've played each other 8 times. It's 4-4 head-to-header. But lately, Sinner has been winning the matches against Djokovic. So he's got that slight advantage. And obviously, he is the world number 1. But it's going to be a blockbuster, because Novak is definitely going to try and make history and go for that 25th Grand Slam.
Looking at head-to-head matches and encounters, Gauff is obviously now taking on Sabalenka in the final, and they're sitting level at 5-5 in their head-to-head match. If we look at the fact that Gauff, obviously edged out Boisson there, I think the more interesting talking point, just to wrap things up, is what happened with Świątek in that last set against Sabalenka.
I think it was just too much. She had done so well getting there. She's also been on a ban. Remember, she hasn't been playing as much tennis as all the others have. She was 4 times champion. There was a lot of pressure on her. People were expecting her to maybe upset Sabalenka, and I think she put too much into the first 2 sets, and then her serve crumbled in the 3rd set, and Sabalenka jumped in there, 1 step closer to a maiden French Open title. It's going to be interesting against Gauff. Gauff has been in the final before 2 years ago, so she knows what it's like. I'm looking forward to this encounter. It's anyone's game.
So there were 12 unforced errors there, and I definitely see that there was too much of a mental pressure for Swiatek. But give me your predictions, Bruce, as I let you go. Who do you think is going to take it in the men's and then in the women's final? And who do you see, obviously making it through to the men's final come Sunday?
I'd love Alcaraz to win, but I think Sinner might win this one. And I do think in the women's singles, Gauff can upset Sabalenka, but Sabalenka's been playing just too good tennis this year not to win her maiden French Open title. So I give it a Sinner, Sabalenka a win.
Well, Bruce, thank you so much for that. Thanks for chatting to us and providing your insights there. Have a warm day, because we see the double jackets there and you're out in the cold of Josie. We have been chatting to tennis analyst Bruce Davidson about obviously Roland Garros.